But let's talk about Princess Anne, because Princess Anne has declined parties and personal fanfare for her 75th birthday, and she's instead hosted more than 100 of her charities at Buckingham Palace. So she reportedly spent more than 2 hours at this event and personally greeting more than 200 guests and thanking them for their work. Can you tell us a bit more about this?
It's interesting. We go from Meghan to Princess Anne, and two totally different representations of what it is to be royal. That's right. She's spent her 75th birthdays in August, but obviously that's the time of the year, midsummer for the Brits, when they're not around. So she doesn't want to party, any fanfare, anything like that. She's had these 200 guests, all from 100 different charities. She, of course, is the hardest working royal member of the royal family and has been for years. And it's not just some of these charities. If you look back, she's been with Save the Children, for instance, since 1970. She's been engaged with a charity which works with horses and disabled children since 1971.
Wow.
I mean, these are back when she herself was in her 20s, which illustrates what she sees being royal to be, that being the monarchy is not just crowns and castles, it's actually doing the work. And there was a brilliant profile of her earlier in the year with The Telegraph, where she allowed a journalist to accompany her on one of her patronage's meetings and duties. They spent a day. And this journalist just said she just knew everything about this charity. She knew all the people involved, the work that they were doing. So lending her name to it, of course, draws attention to it, allows for better fundraising. This is, of course, what the royal family, the whole ethos of the royal family for generations.
Incredible. I absolutely love to hear it. Now, there's been a bit of parking and neighbour drama involving the King. Residents living near King Charles's Highgrove house are apparently frustrated that they can't get a park in summer because of all the visitors to the royal mansion. So they apparently have to pay £650 a year for a season ticket. And locals say that they struggle to find a spot all day due to, there's so many people parking there to visit the house. It just shows how popular the King is.
That's right. This is Highgrove, which is the house that he lives in with Camilla. This is a private house, and it's only the gardens that are open, but it's open for these summer months. Can you imagine, though? You've paid effectively $1,200 Australian to park your car there. There's no designated parking just for the residents. So those bus loads, those visitors, they can just pull in there. They can whack into anyone's car. There's people who live in these houses that, have disabilities that can't get to their car to get to hospital appointments.
My goodness.
So, but you can imagine, somebody said to the King, do you think we might be up to it, have more parking at Highgrove? If that were the case, no way. They don't want the public there. So while they're happy to open the gardens to show them. And look, it's great for the local village, of course, in terms of tourism and spending in the village. It's not great if you live there. They're going to have to. They just have to put up those little orange cones, wouldn't they? To keep people out.
Secure the parking spot. Now, Donald Trump is coming to London in September. He'll be the first US president to have 2 state visits, and this is apparently causing a few headaches because of the president's expectations. So there are negotiations happening right behind the scenes because of what Trump wants. What's going on here?
It's hard to believe that President Trump has expectations, doesn't it? Look, he's, as you say, coming over in September, second visit. The thing is that what he would love, of course, is to visit Buckingham Palace and to ride down the Mall in one of those state carriages, which, of course, the Chinese president, Xi Jinping, he did that back in 2015 or 16, I believe it was. Now, anything that another president or prime minister does, Trump wants to do. The trouble with these carriages, though, is they don't have suitable armoury, and obviously Trump is the greatest assassination risk probably in the modern world. So they can't get him in one of the carriages, but they've got to keep him happy other ways. So there's lots of that. He also can't go to Buckingham Palace because that's under renovation. But it's a headache for the palace, because when he came last time, the Queen, he was flying by helicopter between the palace and the High Commission where he was staying, the US Commission. But apparently his helicopter left all these divots in the lawn, and Scott Morrison visited not long afterwards. And the Queen pulled Scott Morrison to the window and said, look what President Trump did to my lawn. So it's not just trying to keep Trump happy, it's also making sure that it doesn't cause a mess when he's there. Obviously, diplomatically, he's problematic as well. Last time, Theresa May, the Prime Minister, was trying to push through Brexit, and then Trump gave an interview to The Sun, completely off script, that no one was expecting.
Right.
So there needs to be careful management. But of course, they want this visit, the Brits, because the tariff situation between the UK and the US, also the defence negotiations, it's imperative that they keep Trump on side. And, you know, he's having a bromance with Prince William and King Charles, but it's got to be on his terms. So can you imagine being one of the aides working on this visit? You just wouldn't want to, you'd just be tearing your hair out.
Yes, you wouldn't want to get it wrong, and there's a lot to juggle. But let's talk about what's happening in the world of entertainment. There's more shocking revelations coming out of Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial. We've now heard from Diddy's ex-girlfriend, who's been identified in court under the pseudonym as Jane. She's taken to the stand, and she's made more allegations that Diddy allegedly made her take drugs before having sex with a male escort. She also testified about Diddy's alleged violent behaviour, said that there was an incident where he put her in her chokehold, was kicking, punching her, you know, really awful things coming out of this trial. Can you bring us up to speed?
That's right. So she's, as you said, she's anonymous, and she's using the name Jane. She also, of course, she was there when Diddy made the video where he apologised to Cassie Ventura, another girlfriend, about assaulting her in that incredible video that we've seen many, many times. So look, all these layers and previous girlfriends are just stacking up and adding up. It marks a month on Wednesday, a month since this trial began. Look, there just seems to be more corroboration of the claims. And, you know, it's really distressing hearing a lot of this evidence. Look, Diddy's pushed back on one witness saying that, you know, her claims that he held her over a balcony should be a mistrial because that he couldn't have been in Los Angeles at the time, and that the prosecution knew this. So he's always constantly, and his team are trying to muddy the waters along the way. But it's very compelling evidence at this stage, isn't it? I mean, only, as we know, allegations. But look, the fact that we keep, and look, I think, Gabriella, it's the fact that each allegation seems to mirror the previous one. So the evidence, it's aligned with each witness. So, I mean, an interesting case. We can never know a case until it comes to its conclusion. But, you know, he'll have minimum 15 years if he's found guilty of these charges.
Yes. Now, finally, there's been a major development in Justin Baldoni's lawsuit against Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds and their publicist. A judge has tossed out the $400 million lawsuit, a major blow to Justin Baldoni. Blake Lively's lawyer says that this is a total victory, complete vindication. Can you tell us about this case?
So this is a defamation case that Baldoni has brought against Blake Lively and her husband, basically saying that what they've said about him is defamatory. Now, the judge has come back and said all of this has been, anything they've said has been delivered in legal argument as part of the allegations against Baldoni. So, of course, it's not, it can't be seen as defamation. So it's a risky talk to bring this case. He, of course, at this stage, yes, the judge has thrown it out, but we don't know what costs he will have to pay to the Lively team. But this just gets nastier and more toxic. It is a win for Blake Lively. The case, the sort of bulk of this case, of course, with her allegations against him about what happened on set, about lack of consent, that sort of thing, that's still due to go to trial, of course, in March 2026. But the toxicity between this pair will mean that once we get to March next year, all eyes will be on that case.
Absolutely. Angela Mollard, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.